Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Steel City Resistance. My name is Hutch Jr. I'm located in the city of Pittsburgh. Glad you could be here this evening. And as we do each week, it is now time to activate the Southern Command. So I will do that, and I will welcome Mr. J to the program. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Hutch, and thanks. And the Southern Command is armed and activated.
That's the way we like it. I'll welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for stopping by on this Sunday evening. We've got a kind of a 2013 roundup theme going at the beginning of the show here, but first, I think we're going to get to some funny things. Some of this stuff you just can't make up, ladies and gentlemen. And if you look at the perverts that are governing us, it's just it's unbelievable. It really is. Spitzer's at it again, Mister J. I mean, this guy. It never ends with this guy.
Yeah, it is. And it was a bit of an embarrassment to de Blasio. He's been shacking up with de Blasio's spokeswoman. And the pictures are out there. He's been spending the night with the much younger than him lady. And, the people out got some pictures of it. And boy, what a pig. I mean, his wife, we all saw her standing there, by his side when he was exposed about his other little tryst. And well, what a despicable pig.
You know that they're getting divorced now over this too. I mean, this is something that got even uglier. They're going to get divorced, so there's another political marriage down the tubes. I think half of these marriages are just stage props anyway, man. I mean, I think it's like that with the president. Even I've heard that after that little stint in South Africa, that she's pretty pissed and talking about divorce. I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm sure it won't happen until after his second term.
Well,
But we shall see.
she can't like him. The guy's a liar.
Right.
Both of them. But yeah, that divorce was announced a day after this information about Spitzer was leaked out, and so now they got to settle on a $4.2 million settlement. They're looking to try to retain some high-end Manhattan real estate. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I heard that she's throwing him out of the Chicago digs and everything. The ill-gotten digs from Tony Rezko. The slime just sticks to him. You can't get rid of it. There's no way. Now, I think this next show note is about incandescent bulbs. Am I correct?
It is about the price of electricity reached an all-time record high in November.
Well, imagine that with the coal plants and everything else being shut down. I mean, I'm halfway expecting these prices to go down with the natural gas that's been discovered and is being drilled for. I don't know if it doesn't. I'm going to be pretty skeptical, because there's supposedly so much of this stuff. But Obama said that price of energy of electricity is gonna have to go up.
Well, Hutch, we came full circle here. We found the extra natural gas, but another problem has arisen, and it's affecting the cost of electricity. It was freaking cold in November. Global warming has let down everybody, and it's increased the demand for electricity so much it jacked the price up. So, you know, it's just
Double whammy. Now, what I was talking about initially was the show note says Christmas lights right before that one, and I think it's about the incandescent bulb. Republican congressman, and I wish I could remember his name. This moron, he has no business being in office with an R next to his name. Introduced legislation, and the last incandescent light bulb factory was in Winchester, Virginia, I believe, and it just closed. So you're seeing the end of that industry. Now, I don't know if that's going to stand. Normally, when things like this are forced on Americans, there's ways around it, but the CFL bulb is certainly not the answer. Now, I've seen some promise in LED technology. I don't like the idea that the government forces it. I think that the market should force it, and I think the market would have forced the issue with LEDs. They've just come a long way with LEDs. to the point where I think that's going to be the new deal.
Yeah, I could use an incandescent light bulb right about now. I'm a little dark here, and I'm using LEDs and CFLs, and apparently I'm going to need some more, so that'll cancel out any savings I was going to get with them on it.
Yeah, those bulbs are like $6 a piece too. You get one that sheds any light on the situation. Uh, but yeah, it's something else. Now there was an interesting development. There was a guy on the radio was interviewing. I believe he was interviewing a judge, if I'm not mistaken, that had just ruled, or you're giving me the no go, so maybe it wasn't a judge, but there was an interview going on about the NSA, and all of a sudden, software glitches started happening, calls started getting dropped, and you almost wait for them to do that to our show, but uh, it's getting shaky out there. I mean, this is something that it won't be stood for. I mean, I don't know who these people think they are, but there's a whole lot of us.
Absolutely. In a few months back, we talked about Shubat. His phones got screwed with. He was doing an interview. This one was Larry Klayman. He was the attorney that successfully got an injunction on some of the NSA's practices. But you're right. I mean, their software went crazy. Headphones had massive feedback. Call screeners couldn't get the calls in. The calls were dropped. There was mic feedback. They've never had any issues like this, and for all of these issues to pop up at the same time is quite unusual to say the least.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it's almost fun to watch. This thing is it's Keystone Cops all day long. It's something we're going to talk about it a little bit, but uh, liberal commercial talk radio has been going on a nosedive lately. It actually never really took hold. I mean, I remember trying to listen to Larry King on the radio, and it was just, ugh, it was terrible, man. It was horrible, hard to listen to. Uh, the biased. I mean, it's not that if it was biased and they brought something to the table would be one thing, but the garbage that comes out of these people's mouths, because as we've said before, liberalism, leftism, communism is all predicated on lie. You have to lie for anything to fall into place in the left's loony world. There have to be lies involved. So when you have that, it just people are waking up. The media is loosening up a little bit now, but um, one of my favorite entertainers on MSNBC, Sergeant Schultz. You've seen him. I don't even know what his show's name is, but he got banished to like Saturday afternoons or something, and then I don't know why they brought him back. But this is the guy that we reported on that was making hundreds of thousands of dollars from the trade unions, from the SEIU and a whole bunch of other unions, and he had something to say about this. He didn't seem to think that Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck or Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or any of these guys, he didn't really think that they had any entertainment value, and that the reason why they were successful had nothing to do with that. It was all about who the radio station owners were. And I mean, you can look everywhere else in the entertainment industry, and it's not that. But let's listen to him in his own words, because he is so eloquent and just graceful in his overweight suit and everything. But if it doesn't play, ladies and gentlemen, please press play. Sometimes it doesn't work. It does most of the time. Let's check out Fat Eddie. For some reason, that did not start at the beginning. I don't know why that is, but that's basically what he said anyway. I had that problem with another video with the next one,
Yeah.
but I replaced it. I didn't check that one.
Fat
I don't know
Fat Eddie
what's that.
Fat Eddie wants some rich liberal to buy up some media networks and put liberal talk radio on, and He got the boot out of WWRL 1600 AM in New York City, along with Randy Rhodes. Alan Combs got dumped. Uh, KTLA Los Angeles, Jennifer Miller, Rhodes, Bill Press, David Cruz. They're dumping them for Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, and Sean Hannity. And that station was rated number 43, and that's in Los Angeles. So I guess they're ready to start making some money.
That's what I figured. They're trying to turn a profit here, maybe. Uh, Now, an interesting thing happened this weekend. This might have even happened today, but I think it was yesterday. The DNC sent out an email to all the members of Obama for America. So these are like the young skulls full of mush type of people, uh, sitting around in pajamas drinking hot chocolate or whatever. But they send this email out, and basically what they did, I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, but it was basically making the case that we need to elect Democrats in 2014 because if we don't, the Republicans are going to impeach Obama. And I'm sitting there thinking about this, and I'm thinking, you have to be a real criminal to sit there and know that your boy should be impeached, but you're backing him anyway. I mean, I never got that part, and I've said it 100 times that Alan West was asked 90 days after he began his term in Congress what surprised him the most. And he said the thing that surprised him the most was the left's ability to lie on demand, that there was no integrity whatsoever with these people. And we've come to see that. I mean, that's absolutely the truth. For this many people to support him, to keep the impeachment process from even starting, is because that we know that to a man or woman, every single Democrat senator will vote not to impeach, not to acquit, or not to convict in the Senate, regardless of what this guy does. You could have videotape of this guy putting a 22 in somebody's head, and he would not get convicted of it because they're too afraid. And I just think that's sad. I think that's a sad testament to a group of American politicians that they are that corrupted that they would sell their country out as opposed to saying, wait a minute, this guy's wrong. He's usurping the Constitution. He is deeming Congress irrelevant, which is basically what he's been doing. And I'm kind of nervous for the next 3 years.
Yeah, it's you're right, and I wonder if it's they're projecting the fear, or they know their constituency has the fear, or maybe it's a little bit of both. But it's quite telling that they know their guy should be impeached, and even if they lost the Senate, I mean, you still have to have a pretty good majority of people to get an impeachment to even go through. So the premise is a bit of a stretch anyway. The Republicans would have to have a really extremely good 2014 to make that happen, I think. But it just goes to show you they run on fear and lies. That's what they run on.
And don't give a damn about the Constitution or how the country works or how the country survives or how we became as great as we are and why. They're just chipping away. They're not chipping away at it. They're chainsawing it. And there seems to be no regard for justice whatsoever. I mean, we talked about it last night about the knockout game thing. It's like, can we please just get real here? Can we deal with justice and not worry so much about loyalty to people's parties? You would never see me or most conservatives that I know protect a Republican that's committing crimes. Not going to happen ever. And I would just like to see some more stand-up people on the Democrat side, and I think that organization has been so co-opted that it might as well be a crime family, and half the Republican party's like that too. We have an uphill battle ahead of us here for sure. Now the New York Times, I couldn't believe this either. The New York Times, the paper of record. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, and it's not as prevalent as it used to be, but the New York Times, back in the day, almost from its inception, determined what the news of the day was going to be. The New York Times published their first edition, and all the other media organizations got their copies, and that's what they talked about. Whatever the New York Times said we're going to talk about. Big, powerful organization. They came out today and they wrote an article that said, after exhaustive research, we have determined here at the Gray Lady that Al Qaeda was not involved in Benghazi. Can you believe this?
Unbelievable. And the funny thing is, you know, the guy that wrote that article doesn't read his own damn paper, because they had plenty of articles in there that pointed the finger right at Al Qaeda. And there's plenty of evidence, much of we put on this show, that points the finger at Al Qaeda. Some of the work Shubat has done, and many others have, this was not a YouTube video that caused this. That's the reality of it. But the New York Times is desperate to, carry this guy's water for him.
Well, they're clearing the decks for Hillary Clinton is what they're doing. They're trying to make it to where she has no culpability in this, and that's not going to happen. Hillary Clinton, you own Benghazi. You might as well move there, because that's all you're going to hear about from a lot of our outlets, because this is horrible the way this went down, and just a nightmare over there. And for you to come out, they brought a Democrat congressman out, as the view from the left on this, and he couldn't even say that Al Qaeda wasn't involved. It's like, dude, I was at the hearings, man. They were involved. He tried to put a pretty face on it. He tried to make it like it was part Al Qaeda and part people that were just trying to steal stuff out of the building, and it was part people that were mad because of the movie. How many people do you think in Benghazi watch YouTube? Have you ever seen how they live over there? I don't think a computer would survive the heat. But anyway, that's another story. I'm not trying to say that Libyans aren't technologically advanced. They have some hell of a good sandals, but it just the whole idea of this video is ridiculous. I think that dude's still in jail too. I mean, that's a whole other can of wax, man. I mean, holy smoke.
If you watched it, he did deserve a little bit of jail time, because it was pretty crappy. Just kidding,
I
but
could imagine. I could imagine. Now, let's just talk a little bit here, Mr. J, with the folks about some of the things that are going on. This has been a heck of a year for this show, for one thing, for a whole lot of other things. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch us. We've teamed up with Team Ninja, with Wayne Dupree and a whole lot of other people, and created Team Ninja, and it's become a social media. We're on 7 days a week. I mean, one place or another, you can catch us. Let me see. Let me look at my schedule here. But you catch us on Sunday nights here at 9 o'clock on Sundays and Monday nights. The Wayne Dupree Show is on FTR Radio, From the Right Radio. And Chris or I, on any given day, can be on one of those radio shows. Then there's other members of our team that are on there. We have hooked up with the Constitutional Patriot Radio Worldwide Media, and you can find them at cprworldwidemedia.com. And we are also on the Wayne Dupree Show Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 7 to 8. And then there is the Wayne Dupree Show Spreecast, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8:15 to 9:15. And any one of us, we're pretty regulars on that one. But one more thing, one additional development is that Cold War Radio is real close to coming back. I can't promise it to you yet, but it's looking like Cold War Radio is going to be Saturdays from 8 to 9. So that will be on Constitutional CPRWorldwideMedia.com. So I don't know about you. I'm really looking forward to that, Mr. J. I missed that aspect of our productions.
I do too. I love doing Cold War radio. I like the history and some of the geopolitical worldwide things that are going on. We get to touch on. It's a fun show to do. I love it.
It is, and it's an excellent venue because it's worldwide media. I mean, listeners are in Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, South Africa, and they interact. I mean, on the chat, on the Facebook chat. So that's right up our alley. That's going to be fun, and I think we're probably going to have some segment that's dedicated to Europe every week. I think that would be uh, fitting for the audience. I mean, that's thousands of listeners too, and live listeners. That's a good one. That's fun. It really is. I can't wait, and it's been a good year and a big year, and look forward to continuing uh, with the fight. I mean, it's fun, it's interesting, and we hope you guys like it. The audience is growing. And ladies and gentlemen, your weekly Jihad report for December 21st to December 27th. 43 Jihad attacks, 6 Allah Akbars, 232 dead bodies, 582 critically injured. The religion of peace, ladies and gentlemen, one body at a time.
We have a
So,
request to plug that show again, Cold War Radio. Alan is asking for the plug on it. Go ahead and tell him that it's Cold War Radio 405 on Facebook or www.coldwarradio.wordpress.com. We will be posting updates there.
and the show will be, I'm going to have to announce it whenever we get straight because I'll have to get some details for the actual show links, but the website will be cprworldwidemedia.com. Charlie Papa Radio Worldwide Media.com. And again, that's not finalized yet. It's close, but it's not finalized yet. So I'm looking forward to that. One way or another, we're going to do this. Cold War Radio will be on the air. That's one of the things that we're working with Team Ninja is the some additional capabilities than what we have right now. And we have a meeting in a couple weeks down in South Carolina, and we're going to get together and take this to the next level. And we hope to see all you guys at CPAC. We will be at CPAC broadcasting. We have several different broadcasters lined up there, and also a Google Plus is lined up for that. So keep your eyes on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll let you know where we're going. I'm pretty excited about it, though. Now let's say goodbye to 2013, and we won't miss you. If 2013 were to be a beauty pageant, it would be the world's ugliest dog contest. If it were a movie, it would be the Titanic, and if it were a song, it would be Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. Wow, this was a year that was just one long stream of bizarre things that happened. I mean, you go down through this list of some of the things. Obamacare is obviously the defining story, and it should be. I mean, you know, learning that the President of the United States 5,700 times, no way to take it out of context, lied about something that is named after him. That's monumental all by itself. I mean, that right there, I'm telling you, he lost more moderate Democrats over that than anything else. You know, a lot of people don't even know what Benghazi is. You know, but when you lie to somebody like that, everybody heard him say, if you like your current plan, you can keep your current plan, and the same with your doctor. And that's just something that you're not going to wash that off, buddy. You're just not gonna. This was the year that Americans found out that some of us were more deserving of IRS scrutiny than others, and the year that Edward Snowden revealed that every American's rights are equally violated by the National Security Agency.
Yeah, it's a crazy year, you know, and the Justice Department, all what has happened at the Justice Department, you know, with you know, school kids in Louisiana not being allowed to attend a decent school,
It's,
forced
the
poor
year
black
that
children to stay in public schools that were failing. The Justice Department forces poor black children to stay in failing public schools. Let that sink in for a minute.
It's the year that the most transparent administration in history spied on reporters and told Americans repeatedly that the mass murder of 13 people at Fort Hood by Major Nadal Hassan was workplace violence and not terrorism. It's the year Wiener made more national headlines than if a bevy of 5-year-old boys were editing the nation's newspapers, and the year a now former talk show host suggested someone should defecate in the mouth of a prominent national female political figure with whom he disagreed.
It is the year that Miley Cyrus made twerking a household word, and the year Texas State Senator Wendy Davis received more attention for the color of her pink shoes than the content of her character.
It was a year when a young man, a classmate described as a normal pothead, helped to kill 3 people and injure more than 200 by planting bombs at the Boston Marathon.
It was the year the nation moved from debating gay marriage to polyamory.
And we knew that was happening. I mean, that's all everything goes there, I guess. It's the year the Justice Department, led by a black man, sued Louisiana to force poor black children to stay in failing public schools.
It is the year a man who won the Nobel Peace Prize snapped a selfie of himself with a blonde bombshell world leader at the funeral of the Nobel Peace Prize winner whose life he eulogized.
It's the year red lines became no lines.
It is the year we learned the number of children taking antipsychotic drugs has nearly tripled over the past decade.
It is the year a man in Maryland who merely questioned the supremacy of Common Core education standards being forced on U.S. public schools was arrested. Also in education, it is the year that it was revealed that Maryland, the state with the top ranked public schools in the country, has been cooking its books to achieve high scores on a national test.
It is the year boys across the country were suspended, reprimanded, and sometimes had their records permanently marked as dangerous for bringing on toy guns to school, shaping their hands into the likeness of a guns, and in one case, biting a food item into the shape of a gun. That's a no-no.
It is the year that Beyonce lip synced the national anthem at the presidential inauguration, and when performance drug taking cyclist Lance Armstrong came kinda clean on Oprah. It's the year former Vice President and climate change warrior Al Gore sold current TV to Big Oil, aka Al Jazeera, netting $70 million, and the year that research revealed the world is not getting any warmer.
Oh, it is also the year Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty fame was suspended from the show for talking about what is in the Bible, while progressive critics got him suspended for pretending the Bible says something more palatable to their cause. Ah, 2013. Rest in peace.
Yes, sir. Let's get on out of here and get moving forward. Uh, now there's some. Oh, we got a clip on this one too. There's every time you think that Islam can get no more savage, something happens that changes your mind on that. And this is no exception. Now, to my radio listeners, you're going to hear, I think it's Arabic. I forget what the language is. It might be Hebrew, but you're not going to understand it. And I'll just ask you to please put up with me, or maybe I won't even play it on the radio. But for our viewers on Spreecast, the story is titled Muslims Kill Christians, Bottle Their Blood, and Sell It for $100,000 apiece to Saudis. Yikes. Let's check it out. Unbelievable. I mean, just I didn't realize and I apologize. That was obviously German, but I didn't realize that it was going to cover so many topics. We have to do something about these people, man. This is out of control. These people are animals, and they're being portrayed as normal, loving Americans. The ones that are here, and every one of them's like that, man. I shouldn't say that. They're not. They can't possibly be all like that, but enough of them are that I don't want any parts of them.
Yeah, and our government keeps giving visas to these people to come on over, bring your culture and your ways, and we've done countless stories on how they're trying to change our way of life here, and their ultimate goal is Sharia law, and it's despicable. If they really needed some Christian blood, I'd sell them a pint for $100,000. But they're not going to kill me for it. But
Yeah, it's unreal. It's got
hats
to be
off to
stopped.
Shubat.
Yeah,
Shubat,
what
he's on the front lines on this stuff.
and Robert Spencer and what's her name? There's another shoe bet teams up with her. I can't. Pamela Geller is on the front lines. Just fearless woman. These people are fearless, and Frank Gaffney. Hats off to you guys. I mean, Robert Spencer. We get our jihad report from the Religion of Peace. So anyway, we're not gonna turn a blind eye to this. This is sickening and it's suicidal. I mean, it's existential suicide if we don't do something about this. There's a reason that there was a crusade. There's a reason that there was a crusade, and it wasn't offense; it was defense. There almost wasn't a Western way of life. It was pretty doggone close. Now there was some myths that were generated this year, Mr. J, that you've brought to the table. Why don't you let us know about those? Ben Shapiro, one of the better authors of the new media.
Yeah, these are the top 5 imploded leftist myths of 2013. 2013 was a year full of myths falling apart. The myth of President Obama, a myth in which Obama was a messianic figure descending to bequeath health care, equality, brotherhood on mankind, imploded. The myth of an American embracing the leftist social agenda collapsed. And the greatest myth of all, the myth that America is ready to become Europe, crumbled to ash. And here are the top 5 imploded myths of the last year. The 2012 election gave President Obama a mandate to cram through his signature program. In the aftermath of President Obama's reelection, members of both of the administrations and media trumpeted that Obama had received his long-sought mandate, Obamacare. Americans were told was the law of the land. It could not be changed. It could not be stopped. Obamacare would be implemented. The country would rejoice, and Republicans would mourn the day they ever opposed the anointed one.
Nonetheless, the overall impression of the Obama mandate is that it no longer exists if it ever did. The second myth is Americans hate social conservatism. The 2012 elections, we were told, was a referendum on the Republican war on women. If Republicans had avoided the stumbling blocks of same-sex marriage and abortion, they would have put Mitt Romney in the White House. Well, I don't know about all that. I think that's something that I think these people are missing the whole boat. I mean, I don't think going moderate does anything for us, but ensure that we lose.
Another myth, Americans hate social conservatism. The 2012 election, we were told as a referendum on the Republican war on. Oh, I just read that. I apologize for that. Racial divisions have been palliated thanks to President Obama. President Obama's media supporters suggested that his lack of support in 2012 was due in large part to a rising tide of racism. In the aftermath of his reelection, Americans were once again treated to the idea that Americans' changing demographics and its black president meant that the emerging American minorities majority would usher in a new era of racial tolerance.
But with the controversy over the knockout game, the media's disgusting perversion of the Trayvon Martin case, and the consistent drumbeat from the left that all opposition to the leftist agenda was race-based, it's now clear that racial friction in the political sphere is increasing, not decreasing, and that's exactly how the left wants it. They also thought that new models will save the leftist media. They are trying that too. They believe that. It's funny to watch. But when you look at the numbers, I mean, the ventures have all changed hands, but none of them stumbled on a true formula for success in the non print world. In television, MSNBC grew to surpass CNN, but is now struggling to find a new audience. CNN is withering, and Fox News continues to dominate.
The reality for the left media is that they have two problems to solve. First, a problem of content. Second, a problem of profit model. They can't solve the second without the first. Unfortunately, they continue to look at business strategies rather than coverage strategies, and that's the formula for continued failure.
And Americans are ready to become Europe. President Obama's biggest advocates believe that Americans are ready to embrace his vision for the United States, a less muscular American on the world stage, an America with a more controlling executive branch and less conflict in the legislative branch, an America in which the government takes care of us, but we pajama boys, but are we pajama boys or Julius? I don't follow that. But anyway, so there it is, ladies and gentlemen, your uh, 5 top myths of 2013. And, it's funny to watch the media peddle these things too, because it's never ending.
It isn't, but I think evidence shows that nobody's really listening to the left media anymore. I mean, I think the majority of lefties, don't even watch MSNBC. I think, the younger jet set watch the Colbert Report or the other guy on Comedy Central or Saturday Night Live of all places. But their business model is only being supported by what we reported on last week: kickbacks from special interest groups stuffing the pockets of the likes of Ed Schultz. I mean, they
Yep,
can't
that's it.
stand on their own.
That's right. And even when they try that, you look at Air America. They had a big bankroll and they went belly up. You look at what we talked about earlier, Al Gore's current TV. These things don't have a chance. Al Jazeera doesn't have any viewers either. I mean, it's a failed business model, and that's what's supposed to happen in the market. And the thing is you could have a left-leaning network if you would only tell the truth in your news division. If you wouldn't go out there and spout propaganda and spout lies. I mean, these people were editing the tape on the Trayvon Martin thing. They were lying. They should be shut down. If we had a decent FCC, they should get their constitutional protections removed and say, you know what, you're not a news organization. I'm sorry. You're lying, editing tape to make people think stuff out. You're done. And however you do that, I don't know how to do that, and I'm not into banning people from speaking, but you got to take the news out of your title or something. You got to make this a comedy show or something else. It's not a news organization.
That's exactly right. CBS doesn't even vet their news anymore. To the embarrassment of their network again. Laura Logan or whatever did that Benghazi report, turned out to be bogus. I mean, these people are obviously not in it to win it.
Even the New York Times, look at our story on them. I mean, they lied and said Al Qaeda had nothing to do with Benghazi. I mean, that's just I don't see how they think they can get away with that. I mean, I just don't. But we'll see. The time will tell. They're losing money. I know that. Now, this next guy, I can't stand this guy anymore. And Fox News, I know you watch the show. Can you please get rid of Karl Rove? I don't want to see Karl Rove. I don't ever since election night. I don't ever want to see the guy again. The guy hasn't got anything right in 20 years. Well, that's not true. He did help with some of the elections of Bush, but when he was in there, he was advising Bush not to fight back. And this guy leaves office like a cartoon character of being a dunce because of Karl Rove's genius. He's saying that we're going to have GOP unity and a Senate win in 2014.
Yeah, Karl Rove, the voice of the Republican donor class, is predicting that Tea Party-backed primary candidates will lose nearly all of their primary fights against business backed GOP politicians during 2014. Every Republican senator and virtually every representative challenged any primary as insufficiently conservative to will win, Rove wrote in December 26 blog post, an excerpt of which appeared in the Wall Street Journal. The op-ed listed as he predicted about American politics in 2014. Rove's business versus Tea Party prediction is somewhat self-serving. He's positioned himself as a leader of the GOP affiliated donors and businesses who are facing criticism from the Tea Party's populist advocates of small government.
Well, you listen to Karl Rove and you lose. That's basically how that works. I mean, you've seen this time and again where we pick these moderate people, and Rove is just he doesn't get it. I mean, I don't. These people think these are people that are for amnesty too. I'm telling you, these are the people that think that we're going to bring a bunch of people from Mexico and Central America by the droves. We're going to legalize them, wave the magic wand on them, and they're all conservatives all of a sudden. Are you serious? That's not going to happen. They come from leftist countries. It's all they know. And a lot of them, these aren't the best and brightest we're talking about either. We're talking about a large portion of these people are illiterate. A lot of them are in the drug trade, moving back and forth over the borders. This is something that is just insane. And people like Karl Rove are so insulated from real life that they believe it. I honestly think they do. And it's not just that. They've prostituted themselves out to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is in this too, which we're going to cover in a second here. But all they want is cheap labor. This has nothing to do with anything other than cheap labor.
Yeah, and another thing, on a previous show, we talked about, the Republican wins and where they came from, and we chronicled, they were Tea Party wins. The establishment didn't win us anything. They haven't won us anything in a number of years.
That's exactly right. I mean, you look at the lackluster candidates that we've had. I think they pick the most boring person in the room every time. It never fails. I mean, from Bob Dole and Gerald Ford. I mean, okay, they're good Americans. I got it. But this is a fight, man. This isn't about picking good Americans. This is about picking leaders. Not somebody that's pastel shades. Now, the Chamber of Commerce, again, they're looking to get cheap labor, and they're planning to spend at least $50 million on a campaign to boost establishment Republicans in primaries against Tea Party challengers, according to the Wall Street Journal. The group's broader aim is to help the GOP win Senate control and block Tea Party Republican candidates who might lose otherwise winnable seats to the Democrats. I don't buy any of that. I'm sorry, I don't buy any of that whatsoever. Any message that a Tea Party guy is bringing is small government, things that anybody that's a Republican that doesn't believe should go to another party. And I just feel that way. I feel there's many more people. I keep thinking back to Glenn Beck's presentation on the mall and all the people that were at that thing. And that was, I mean, there was millions of other people that couldn't go. You know what I mean? It's something that resonates. And I think these Republicans and these people in the media that say they're Republicans, like George Will and these other people, they're all about the status quo, man. Charles Krauthammer and George Will have eaten dinner with President Obama twice. You know what I mean? This is their buddies, man. They know each other, and they don't want to upset the apple cart because they know if people like Ted Cruz get in charge of something, oh man, the China's on the table is going to get broken. I mean, it is. The party's going to be over for these people.
Yeah, it's unfortunate what the chamber is doing here because basically they're setting up, they're setting up mudslinging on their own side, on our own side, the Republican side. So if
Yep.
they start throwing money at Tea Parties and start bashing them, the Tea Party, there's going to be PACs that respond to that by trashing the other side. And we don't need to be beating the crap out of ourselves when we got to go up against formidable Democratic candidates. I mean, it's a waste of money. Use that $50 million and go after the Democratic machine.
But unfortunately, we're not going to have a choice. And I say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, because this fight's coming and it's going to be brought to us. We're not bringing the fight. We're bringing the primary challengers, but that's the way you do things. But these people are ensconced in their establishment. and they're not going to. They would rather see a Democrat win than a Tea Party guy win. They would rather manage the decline and be in the minority, but still be there, than they would see a conservative takeover of Congress. And I think it's disgusting, man. It's just totally, you're getting played. Republicans that believe in establishment candidates, you are getting played. You're getting played as a Democrat. That's all you're doing. These establishment Republicans have no interest in winning. You know, if they did, they would do the right thing. They wouldn't be talking about amnesty. I think back to Marco Rubio, and I think of Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan is establishment. He's never done anything else except this his entire life. You know, and it's just something that they get up there and they get surrounded by these people, and the money's good, and the cocktail parties are good, and the schools are good, and they don't want it to change.
That's exactly right. And these big businesses you talk about, some of it is amnesty. I think another part of it is the pay to play setup that both sides use in government. These guys get these huge government contracts, which our tax money pays for, and they both want to keep the status quo in place because they're going to make money no matter who's in. But I mean, some companies are obviously going to do better with Republicans in, and they want the establishment guy that's going to make sure that they get to play in the game, so to
Well,
speak.
that's absolutely right. There's no doubt about that. And the only way you get rid of that is if you install term limits. And I don't think there's a whole lot of Tea Party people that are against term limits. So that's another thing that scares them. But why don't we take this back to Obamacare a little bit, Mr. J? We discovered some terrifying things that I'm afraid that as time goes along, we're going to find even more things. But you've managed to dig out a pretty substantial one.
Yeah, this is one I haven't heard of, but the fine print: state can seize your assets to pay for care after you're forced into Medicaid by Obama. My, this is an unpleasant consequence of Obamacare. I'm not going to call it unintended because, in its current form, it potentially earns a bunch of money for the states. So I'm pretty sure that's intentional. What I think is unintentional is anyone noticing this is the way this is what they're up to. But the Seattle Times noticed it wasn't the moonlight, holiday season euphoria, or family pressure that made Sophia Prinz and Gary Ballhorn, both 62, suddenly decide to get married. It was the fine print. As the fine print is wont, as fine print is wont to do, that's obviously misspelled. It had buried itself in a long form application for free health care insurance through expanded state Medicaid program. As the paperwork lay at the dining room table in Port Townsend, Prince began reading. She was shocked. If you're over 55, Medicaid can come back after you're dead and bill your estate for ordinary health care expenses. The way Prince saw it, that meant health insurance via Medicaid is hardly free for Washington residents 55 or older. It's a loan, one whose payback requirements aren't well advertised, and it penalizes people who, despite having a low income, have managed to keep a home or some savings they hope to pass on to their heirs. So here's the deal. There used to be a provision whereby the state could recuperate funds spent on Medicaid patients post 55 years old from whatever assets he owned. So a low-income individual in a nursing home care after age 55 might pass away, and his kids would find out the family home and car or whatever he had to his name had been bought back from the state if they wanted it to. It's called estate recovery, and it sounds pretty shady if it's not boldly advertised as the terms of the Medicaid enrollment, which is most definitely not. Before the Affordable Care Act Medicaid expansion, there weren't that many people in Medicaid who had much in the way of assets for seizing. But now that the Medicaid enrollment requirements have been relaxed, more people with assets but low income are joining the program or being forced into it. So as this Medicaid expansion grows, the states are looking to recuperate and seize property from older dead people. Apparently, this was something that I hadn't heard about before. Like the article said, low income people didn't have anything for the state to take anyway. But this puts a whole new angle on it for a lot of people.
especially if you look at the amount of people that are signing up for Medicaid due to the high deductibles and premiums of Obamacide. I mean, a lot of people are going from just normal middle class people with standard health care plans and moving into Medicaid because that's all they can afford. So yeah, look out. That's something that's scary. I mean, and I totally believe it too. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, and I don't think we're finished discovering some of the things in this control bill. It's not just health care. This is about a lot more than that. But we warned you about that for years. Uh, A startling USA Today analysis is released on Thursday finds that over half of all counties in the 34 states on the federal Obamacare exchange lack even a bronze plan that's affordable by the government's own definition. The analysis clearly shows how the sticker shock hitting many in the middle class, including self employed and early retirees, isn't just a perception problem, wrote USA Today's Jane O'Donnell and Paul Overberg. The lack of counties with affordable plans means many middle class people will either drop out of insurance or opt out of insurance or pay too much to buy it or go on Medicaid. So this is becoming a real problem. I mean, uh, people are starting to realize. I just hope that there's enough pushback that we can repeal it. A lot of it's been repealed already, really, or delayed. But I mean, this isn't going to work, and the whole thing is going to be, as a nation, you have the left out there demonizing the insurance companies. I heard Howard Dean out there doing that today, and he's a doctor, and he paints all insurance companies to be the devil incarnate. But the real impact of this is going to be how we react to it. If we team up with the insurance industry and reboot, and get back to normal, or if we everything collapses and the government by fiat says we're going to single payer and the country's over. So it'll be interesting to watch, to say the least.
Yeah, and you brought up that Fox News Sunday thing. There's for pediatricians, there's only 7 of them in
Yeah.
all of San Diego for the people to go to.
The whole county, all of San Diego County.
Yeah, and that's huge. It's unbelievable. And some of the medications are not covered. Some, to get a specialist, some people have to drive over 50 miles to find a specialist that'll take them. I mean, that's
It is
pretty
out of
lousy.
control. Ladies and gentlemen, you could go. There's another story we don't have time for. You can go to steelcityresistance.blogspot.com, and there's a show notes page, and all the links are listed there. This is episode number 153. We've come a long way, my man. 153 episodes. We're going to wrap 2013 up tonight. We appreciate everybody stopping by. We certainly do. Let's see here. Let's thank some of the people still in the chat room. Aaron and To Be or Not To Be, Hey, Terry Jung, Robert Underwood, Ryan Kraft, Dave Heckman, Cheryl Hunter, Carolyn Beatty, Virgil Edwards, and Alan, Michael Spangle, and the visitor from Mars. And I only say that because your icon looks like a slee stack. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. I'll send it over to the Southern Command and let Mr. J give his bona fides.
Thanks, Hutch. You can find me at Chris Ivan at Facebook or mrjausa.com or mrjausa at Facebook, Twitter, and Tea Party community. Thank you for joining us, everybody in the chat and the listeners. We appreciate it. And we will catch you next Sunday, or you might find us sooner on one of the News Ninja radio programs.
Well, thanks again, Mr. J. And we will deactivate the Southern Command and put you back on reserve status. My name is Hutch Bailey Jr. My studio is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a contributor and backup host on The Wayne Dupree Show, contributor to News Ninja 2012, founder and co-host of this show. You can catch this show on iTunes, subscribe for free. You'll have to search for Surrounded in Pittsburgh, Steel City Resistance. The website, as I said, is steelcityresistance.blogspot.com. And if you're there, check out the research room. It'll help you out for ammo when you get into those debates with leftists and Islamist apologists and things like that. There's a lot of good research material there. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. on Facebook, at Berg's Eye View on Twitter, and you can email the show at scrtv@live.com. Thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you letting us into your life for an hour, and we will check you next week. See you next time.